Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
Hey, this is Gary from Night Dreams Talk Radio. I want to welcome a new sponsor to our show, PhoenixShaving.com. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, another disposable razor company. Well, the fact is they're not. You remember the razors that your father and his father shaved with? Did you ever notice they didn't have, well, the embarrassing razor burn or ingrown hairs or the razor bumps after they shaved? Did you notice they were also relaxed after they were done shaving? Well, the problem is these big corporations want to sell you razor after razor after razor. Think about how much money you spend a year on razors. Or do you use electric razor? Then you're going to find out what razor burn is. So you need to check out Phoenix Shaving Starter Kits. They come complete with the soap, the brush, and a 2.5-month supply of blades. And the most important part of it, an all-metal razor built to last generations. So, hey, you can donate it to one of your sons when they turn 18. Check out PhoenixShaving.com and tell them that Gary from Night Dream said, hey, I want one. That's PhoenixShaving.com now.
Check out Night Dream's website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
You're listening to Night Dreams Radio with Gary Anderson.
Well, hi, everyone. This is Gary at Night Dreams Talk Radio. Well, here it is, Friday, the end of the week for me. And tomorrow we have Kevin will be on between 8 and 10 p.m. Pacific West Coast time. And also I'll be on as a guest both Saturday and Sunday with, the paranormal lawyer will be on. And that's going to be really interesting. That's between 7 and 8 tomorrow. Hey, Gordon, are you there?
I am indeed here.
Well, how's the weather in France?
The weather in France, we've had an absolutely awful early summer. It's been raining and completely off the board, you know. But anyway, we're hoping that it will get better. It can only get better.
Well, you know, up here, I live up in Washington State in Gig Harbor. And, you know, It's kind of weird. Back 3 weeks ago, we broke the temperature. The highest we ever were at that point of the year was like 72. We hit 92. It's been really strange. You know, our winter wasn't really that bad. Of course, we have a lot of rain. But, you know, virtually no snow. Normally, for all the years I lived here, which has been a lot, you know, in the wintertime, my fish pond would totally freeze solid, and I'd look at the fish and the ice cubes, and they were like frozen solid. The last 2 years, that hasn't been happening. And when we do freeze, it's like only freezing for a day or two. So it's kind of strange what's going on with the weather changes.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell our listeners what you do for a living and about, your newest thing that you have to share tonight? Okay.
Well, I've worked for many years in the advertising business as a copywriter and translator, which it's a strange world, the world of advertising, because it's extremely ephemeral. Of course, you're not as good as the last job you did. You're only as good as the next job you're going to do. But it's amusing because one can be working on several different products completely. You know, it can be trucks. 1 minute, it can be underwear the next, followed up by Coca-Cola, and anyway, that keeps one on one's toes. Before that, I did a lot of jobs, most of which I was totally unqualified for. And like for example, I ended up being the director of a language school in Paris with 20 teachers under me, without having had any formal training as a teacher. But I've always winged things in my life, and they've always seemed to turn out really quite well. So that's one interesting thing. But before all of that, and this is where actually we're going to find the roots of the book I'm going to talk about and share with you today. Back when I was 20 or so, I was a painter, and I was an artist, producing paintings which could be described as highly they were mystical. They were extremely elaborate. They required a lot of technique. It could take me up to 4 months, up to 6 months even to paint one. And at that time, I was working actually in the theatre, in the West End theatre. The West End, for those who might not know, is the area of London where you've got all the major theatres, where there's the Royal Opera House and about 20 theatres scattered around that area. And I was working in a theatre called the Strand, which wasn't as upmarket as the Royal Opera. We tended to do shows that were more sort of very popular shows for sort of ordinary sorts of audiences. For example, while I was there was a show called No Sex Please, We Are British.
I didn't mean to laugh, but it just kind of, I have to say that, your sense of humor and, and our sense of humor is a little bit different. I mean, I remember like Benny Hill and, what was that one where they were in a department store,
you're being served.
Yeah, you being
You're
served.
Being served.
I was glued that because they showed it on public TV here. I mean, every time that was on, I was watching it. I mean, I got, so involved in it. But the humor is different.
Yes, sure. It's anyway. It was a bit raunchy, this show, but it was okay. Now, so as I say, at the time I was a painter, and I was also writing poems and radio plays, and And I just sort of, shall we say, discovered there was this room at the top of the theatre. Oh, yes, I worked there as an electrician, by the way. This is a big joke. I didn't know my red from the green or the white. Anyway, but I got in there thanks to a friend, and I used to work the lighting board, which was a massive sort of organ console kind of piece of furniture, and I turned out to be quite good at that because they could have fired me several times for not doing electricity things properly. But anyway, I found this room, and nobody seemed to worry about it. It used to be the room for the firemen or something a long time ago. Anyway, it was at the top of the theatre. It had a skylight. It was very high. Anyway, so I went to the director. I said, hey, any chance that I might be able to use that room as a studio for my painting, because we worked in the mornings doing maintenance and rigging and stuff, and in the evening we had the show, but there was a big gap in the afternoon. And he said, well, okay. He said, yeah. He said, well, give it a coat of paint. He said, yeah, and it's yours, so no rent. And what was amusing was that once I got established there, I was able to meet some rather attractive young actresses, down on the stage and everything, and I could say to them, would you like to come up and see my paintings? And the thing was, I actually had something to show them,
Yeah, I wonder what they thought when you said, hey, would you like to come up and see my paintings? I'm sorry, Gordon.
It's a classic line, come up and see my etchings. But I didn't have etchings, but I had paintings. Anyway, the kind of thing that I was doing were very symbolic. It was like a sort of Salvador Dali meets meets pre-Raphaelite, meets I don't know who else. But it turned out that I did quite well. I got a gallery. I was exhibiting in a gallery in Cork Street, which is just off Oxford Street, the absolutely the street in London for galleries, and various actors and actresses. Sometimes they gave me a helping hand. There was an impresario who came up, bought one of my paintings. It was all a bit surreal. Anyway, at that time I was very much into mysticism and Rosicrucians and all things like that. So I was already heading for paranormal country, but this was inherent, no doubt from a previous life or two. And anyway, one day I happened to be up by St. Paul's Cathedral, went into a gallery, and saw that there was an exhibition on by a gentleman called Joffre Boschart. And it was a real revelation when I saw his work. I don't know how well known he might be in the States. He did do an iconic series of posters or paintings for posters of the 12 signs of the zodiac. They did sell hugely. Anyway, I went into this gallery and there were these paintings on the wall. I mean, sort of imagine Salvador Dali meets William Blake. Basically, that's it. He had absolutely razor-sharp technique, like Salvador Dali, but with all the mysticism and all the symbolism of William Blake, and it just blew my mind. And it so happened that the guy in the gallery saw me sort of teetering backwards and forwards in front of these paintings, and he said, "Would you like to meet the artist?" So, okay, he was there with his wife Ellen. They're Dutch in origin, and they had founded a movement called the Meta-Realists, Dutch Meta-Realists. There were, I think, 5 of them in the group, and they all did painting. They all had the technique of the old masters.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, anybody can look up, Boschart. It's Boschart, and his first name Joffre, Johfra. He's actually known as Joffre without the Boschart normally. And if you put in Joffre and Zodiac, you will find his 12 paintings of the Zodiac, which are, as I said, many people will know them. Anyway, so he was there with his big bushy beard and speaking hardly any English, and his wife Ellen, very gracious, and she too is an artist, also with a technique as good as his, only she's a little bit more into fairies and elves and sprites. And anyway, I sort of humbly told them that I was a painter, and they said, "Oh, really?" And of course, by a strange coincidence, except that we all know that coincidences don't happen. It's just that that's the way things are. Anyway, by a remarkable piece of synchronicity, they happened to be staying in the hotel that was like 50 yards from the theatre.